Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's video. It's a very special video for me personally in a couple of ways. First of all, my guest of honor today is somebody that I have known for a really long time and someone who has played an instrumental role in my life. I am joined by Ken Lindner of Ken Lindner and Associates out in Los Angeles. He founded his own talent agency many, many years ago, and he represents so many names and faces that you probably recognize on both national and worldwide media. He also has choreographed the careers of many people in the local news market, including yours truly. So Kenny, you and I have been connected since 1994, and you have been my career choreographer ever since then. And I'm thrilled to bring you on my platform today because Kenny has written a new book, and it is called Career Choreography: Your Step-by-Step Guide to Finding the Right Job and Achieving Huge Success and Happiness. So first of all, let me congratulate you on this next chapter in your life. And let's launch in with why you decided to write this book. Why now?
Well, Dominique, first of all, it's great to be with you. The reason why I wrote the book is I am, in my very essence, a career choreographer. I love to see what can be in people and then where they are and help them figure out the steps to help them attain their dreams. So in this case, with the pandemic, I have worked with thousands upon thousands of people over the last 35 years in helping them enter the workforce or re-enter the workforce in positions, jobs, professions that make their hearts sing, that take advantage of their gifts, their assets, their experience, and what they love to do. So it's the perfect time for me to contribute my 35 years of experience to help people either A, get back into the workforce, or enter the workforce in a very difficult and challenging job market.
That's really why I'm so eager to have you on and to really elaborate on your strategies, because as you and I know, there has been an enormous amount of loss in terms of loss of life, but also loss of livelihood during COVID. I mean, people have lost their jobs. Their worlds have been turned upside down in terms of how they define themselves, how they care for themselves and their families. And many people are having to reinvent what their purpose is in this world. And it's one thing just to get a job, right? To make ends meet, but it's another thing to find a career that's going to make your heart sing. And I think that's why you kind of jumped into this and said, I need to show the way.
Well, that's absolutely true, Dominique. You know, there's a very important nugget of information here. And that is, I believe everybody should look at this situation as a golden opportunity to lift their professional and personal lives. Mm-hmm. If you're out of work and you've already been in the workforce, there are so many things that we can take from that. First of all, that means you have experience. Experience is invaluable. Knowing how to get things accomplished in your given profession or job is so valuable. I know that I'm so much better now. I'm so much wiser now, 35 years later. I'm much better for my clients. Well, if you have experience and you have a little bit of age on you, I believe you're going to be a whole lot better as well. So that's a huge asset. So A, be positive that you've got so many things to bring to the table to a prospective employer. You're not a newbie. You know what you're doing. You have a track record. For example, if you need a surgery on your knee, on your ankle, you want to go to a surgeon who's done it many, many times before. You want to go to somebody who's got a great track record. That's what a prospective employer is looking for. Somebody who's got the knowledge, somebody who's got a track record. You don't have to teach them. They can hit the ground running, especially now when there's so many candidates, Dominique, for a particular opening. So if you have already been in the workforce, use your experience and your know-how to your huge advantage.
And you're really speaking to my audience, Kenny, because they are, for the most part, women in their prime, as I like to call it, of a certain age group. And I love the word prime because it is reflective of all of those years of wisdom and life experience that has been gleaned. I think a lot of times people at this age, and whether it is a mom whose children are leaving the house and she's trying to now figure out what's that next stage in her life. What does she want to do? Where does she want to focus her energy? Or maybe somebody who's been laid off. And there's this fear that, well, there's this younger generation out there and they may be more hireable than I am because they might be more affordable. So talk to that woman who's feeling maybe a little insecure about the fact that time has gone by.
I believe oftentimes, first of all, with time comes perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So for that woman, for your subscriber, the key is think about what you really want to do with your life. Mm-hmm. You've already worked before. You've had time to reflect on it. What do you love? What are you good at? What don't you want in your work? I mean, these are things that you may well know. You just need to take time to reflect, dig down deep, make a list, which is what I call in my book a clarifying list. Mm-hmm. Clarify what it is you really want in your next job. And also clarify what your assets are. What do you bring to the table that helps you break through the clutter? What can you say to a prospective employer that makes that person go, yes, I really believe you're the right fit for us? So it's really important, first of all, to take stock of what you really want. The second thing is, as we said earlier, Dominique, experience, know-how, big assets. Again, be confident in that. You bring something to the table. You bring a point of view. You bring a diverse and interesting take on things that a newbie who may be less expensive to hire can't. So the key is, if I'm an employer, I want to find and make the best deal I can. And the best deal and the best hire may well be someone with lots of experience and wisdom and know-how. One other point that I think is invaluable, Dominique, and I'd love to tell you a couple of uplifting stories so that the people out there can really feel great about where they are today. So my feeling is one of the biggest tips I can give is when you're out of work, but you have been in the workforce before, think about who has hired you before. Think about the people you've worked with before, because they know how good you are. They know your contacts. They know your work ethic. They know the content of your character. Who better than the people who've worked with you for years can recommend you? So either A, keep in touch with people who can hire you, or keep in touch with people who can recommend you to someone who can hire you, because it is difficult right now in the job market. So you've got to give yourself an edge. Familiarity, positive familiarity, can really help you. So I'd love to tell you two quick stories.
Okay.
My dad, who started a stock board and department store chain in New York years ago, worked himself up to be executive vice president. He trained many, many buyers, women's clothing buyers, to buy label goods off price. And he trained many, many people who went on to do wonderful things in the department store business. At age 66, he was laid off. The emotional winds were taken out of his sails. He was so down. He wondered, who at age 66 is going to hire and invest in somebody? It's a youth-oriented society. I said to my dad, you've got all this experience. You have all of these great contacts. Everybody in the industry knows you and respects you. There has to be a market for that experience. I said, just stay in shape, continue to read the periodicals that you need to read, Women's Wear Daily, to remain up on the trends, to remain relevant, and keep in touch with everybody who knows what you can bring to the table. My dad was disciplined. He did it. It was a long 3 years. But at age 69, he got a call from one of his former buyer trainees, whom he had kept in touch with, Ben Camerata, who was, I think, the chairman of the board of Marshalls. And he said to my dad, Jack, I'm going to start a company called TJ Maxx. And I don't know if you want to work much more, but for however long you want to work, I want you to train my buyers the way you trained us. And all I want is for you to impart your knowledge, infuse them with what you know. And that job turned out to be a 30-year job. My dad worked from age 69 to almost 99 years old. So the key really is you have so many assets if you have experience in the workforce. You just have to identify them and use them in a constructive and strategic manner.
You really hit the nail on the head when you talked about relationships. And in every story that you're sharing, it showcases the power of the contact and never to burn bridges and to never feel like you can't reach out to somebody from your past because you never know where those connections may lead. And I can even say from my own personal experience, every job transition from college into radio, into television, into YouTube, all happened because of people with whom I came into contact and utilizing those relationships. And I think that's such a valuable lesson. And my goodness, the story of your father reinventing himself at the age of 69 and going until almost 99, there's hope for everybody that it can happen at any age. And also that we can keep going to any age. And I love that.
And Dominique, you raised 2 points. First of all, talking about networking, you know what I love? I love the saying, a particle in motion attracts other particles in motion.
Right.
Stay in motion, network. You never know when that next big contact or next job is coming. You have no idea. So stay in contact. It's really important.
And what about landscaping this new normal of ours? Once upon a time, job interviews were so different. You would call the manager, you'd set up an appointment, you'd meet in person. Now, nobody's meeting in person. Everybody's meeting like you and I are having this conversation on Zoom. So now technology has added another layer to all of this. And a lot of people feel really uncomfortable with this, that maybe they're not putting their best self forward and they're having to navigate through technology and they don't even know if they'll be able to work in an office. Maybe it's a work from home setting. Maybe there's some fear with that. And I know fear is probably one of the biggest obstacles to overcome. So how can we get people over this hump to realize, yeah, it may be different. It may be the new normal. It may not last forever, but you still have to go for it.
First of all, you can be paralyzed by fear. I have always found that the way to combat fear is to take positive, constructive steps. Be a choreographer. Figure out what the steps are to attain your goals. Put the percentages in your favor that you will succeed. So with regard to the new technology, and by the way, we are Zooming in this interview, so
Right.
Obviously an example of that. One of the advantages of the new technology is that you have so much information at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
This is not like you have to go to the library or anything else. You can learn almost anything about anyone. So one of the things that I think is so important is that when you get your Zoom interview with someone, know everything about the company, know everything about the person with whom you're interviewing. Do your homework. I mean, I've known so many employers who have said to me, you know what? He didn't do his homework. She didn't do his homework.
Right.
They should have done their homework. If this is important to them, one of the things that reflects the importance of this to that person should have been knowing who I am, knowing what our company stands for, knowing, what our company does, where we do our business. So one of the things that's very important is to take advantage of the new technology. Do your homework so that you are steeped in what the particular prospective employer with whom you're interviewing is about and the company that he or she works with or for.
When I was growing up, I had such a hunger and a fire, and I still do. There's always this strong burn to do more, be more. There's this desire for excellence and never settling. And I think the frustration, at least from what I'm hearing from the manager's side, is a lack of that. And they oftentimes joke, younger people will come in to interview and they'll, like you said, Kenny, they may not have researched the company, but on top of that, they're coming in with a list of what they won't do or what their needs are. And employers are sort of astonished by, instead of, what are you going to do for me? They're hearing what it is that we need to do for them. And that's where I think somebody of this age and demographic really can excel.
Dominique, I so believe that people with some age, some maturity have such advantages.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm an employer, I want to hire somebody who has the experience, as I said, the know-how, the skills. I mean, why not? If you're going to pay the same amount of money, why not make the best deal with the best person who's going to bring the most to the table? And we're an immediate gratification society. We don't want to teach anybody. We want somebody to hit the ground running immediately and enhance the company that they're hired by. So there's so many assets that people who are 50, 55, 60 have. You just have to play them up. And by the way, you also have to feel it in here that I can bring something to the table, because if you're confident in who you are and that you can really bring it. With regard to young people, I hear it all the time. The word entitlement is used all the time. And in fact, I was talking to the dean of a major prestigious college about 5 or 6 years ago, and we were walking through the courtyard of his college, and he said to me, I'm really concerned. All of these kids graduating are so entitled. They have no fire. They just think it's all coming to them. And I'm really concerned that they get this great education, but don't know how to use it. I must say, Dominique, that I am a really hard worker. Nothing has come easily to me.
Yeah.
It's always been, you just have to slog through it.
Right.
And, I have found that the people who are hugely successful, the Michael Jordans of the world, the Tom Brady's of the world, the executives who are huge, or just anybody who's successful in their own business, besides having talent. Talent is merely potential, I believe, unless you couple it with hard work, smart work. You've got to really, they say about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, many great athletes, they're the first to get there and the last to leave.
Right.
So again, if you have a great work ethic and you've got all these young people who are coming in with entitlement, that's a huge advantage, because an employer wants somebody who's going to leave it all out on the court and bring their A game every day and say, what else can I do for you? Not, how many days of vacation am I getting?
I have a question, because I'm wondering how you would handle this. So let's say you are somebody who hasn't been in the workforce in a while, or you've been laid off and you have years of experience, and now you're applying for a job and the salary is much lower than what you feel your value is. How do you handle that? I mean, do you accept it? Do you search for something else? I mean, what strategies do you have in play to get paid what you feel your value is?
It's an interesting question, and I've got a few answers for it. The first thing is, what you want to do before you go for that interview is make sure that you are crystal clear as to what makes you special. Because the way you're going to get the most money you can from that employer is by having that employer really want to hire you. And it's called leverage. Leverage is when somebody really, really feels like you're exactly who they need and there's nobody else who's as good as you. And if in fact you can sell what makes you special, whether it's your experience, whether it's your unique skill set, whether it's your educational background, whatever it is, know what makes you special, what makes you break through the clutter of people that they're thinking about interviewing. So then if they do offer you the job, I guess try to get as much money as you can, but the key is just get in the tournament. Just let them see what you can do. Because if you get a chance to play on center court and show them, your gifts, your work ethic, your talents, your acumen, they will reward you. I mean, Dominique, haven't you grown, at KPRC?
Mhm.
I think you started as a traffic person,
Right.
and then you became a morning anchor, and then you became the evening anchor, and then, a dominant institution in the market, a very young institution, by the way,
Thank
but
you.
institution in the market.
Yeah.
And you were rewarded because your employers day to day saw how talented you were and are. And they decided that it's in their self-interest to grow you. I mean,
Mhm.
employers do things that are in their self-interest and their company's self-interest. So
Right.
if you can go in there and show how terrific you are, how essential you are, how valuable you are, the money will come.
Mhm.
And I'm not just saying this from my ivory tower. When I was getting out of law school, I was offered a job at a very, very prestigious corporate law firm, and I was going to practice entertainment and sports law. And I found out that my father grew up with the president, with that now president of the William Morris Agency.
Mhm.
And I found out that the William Morris Agency was the chief entertainment client of the law firm that I was about to work for.
Mm.
So again, particle in motion attracts other particles in
Right.
motion. I asked my dad, I was in New York City, if I could please get a meeting with Sam Weisbord, who is the president of William Morris and my dad's best friend growing up in Brooklyn. And he arranged it for me. And I flew out to Los Angeles. I spent the money, but I thought it was a worthwhile investment. And Sam and I just connected. He loved my background. And instead of my making a really great contact with the president of the William Morris Agency, because I thought it would be great for my new law firm,
Mhm.
he wound up offering me a job that night.
Yeah.
And he talked about all the people that William Morris represented. And I never thought about being an agent, a talent representative. I mean, I thought an agent was a guy with a pinky ring and a gold chain saying, I'm going to make you a star, baby. And that night, I went, oh my God, they've represented the Beatles. They've represented Elvis Presley,
Mhm.
Robert Redford, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Goldie Hawn. I mean, the list was crazy. And I went, how fun is that? And I had written a clarifying list, just as I mentioned earlier. And on that clarifying list, maybe 6 months earlier, I put, I want to work with people. I love people, not projects, not concepts.
Mhm.
I want to work in an industry that's facile and fluid and creative, not some corporate structure. I'm not a corporate person that way. I love being an entrepreneur. I love marketing. I also have an expertise in contract law. And it was interesting because when I went home that night after Sam offered me a job, this job meets all the criteria. And then he hit me. He said, well, how much is the law firm offering you? And I said, oh, they're offering me X. And he said, well, here's the problem. I can't bring you in for anything more than mailroom wages, even though I'm going to start you as a business affairs attorney. So he said, in essence, you're going to have to make 1/2 of what the law firm was going to pay me. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I want to do something that makes my heart sing.
Mhm.
I want to do something that makes me feel great every day. I've seen my dad, he's a great role model. He loves to go to work every day. It keeps him vital. It keeps him vibrant, keeps him relevant. So I said to myself, you know what? If I'm good at what I do, enough money will come. And I took the job. And then the law firm came back and said, all right, we'll pay you another 10% more. And I still said no.
Mhm.
It was the best decision, Dominique, I've ever made. The money did come, but most importantly, I love what I do. If I were to win the lottery tomorrow, I wouldn't change a thing.
Mhm.
So I'm in harmony, at peace, in sync with what I do every day. It's been one of the great blessings of my life. So what I would say is, don't worry about the money to begin with, especially now during the pandemics. Jobs are hard to come by.
Right.
Good jobs are really hard to come by. And if they believe in you, that means you've got a runway, as they say, you've got a path
Mhm.
to success. The money will come.
I love also how you are talking to college students and you share Sarah's story. Obviously, it is about finding the passion because when you do what you're passionate about, it isn't a job. So, what are you telling young college kids these days who are, as you said, you're concerned about this level of entitlement? How are you counseling them to not be entitled, to find their passions? Many of them don't even know what they are.
Well, in career choreography, I talk about um, a few steps. Step one is I call the examination process.
Mhm.
Dig down deep and be honest, because it's not about what your parents want for you. If your parents want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, it's about what you want. Okay, because expectations can be such a load. And you wind up regretting not living your own life down the road because you made choices for someone else. They have to be choices that are true to who you are. And so think about all the things you love to do, all the things you want to do. So, we are in such a rush. We have so much clutter in our lives right now. How often do we sit down and go, okay, what do I really want? Am I really happy? What will make me happy? What are the things I see other people do that I would love to do? And then make a list. I will tell you, I love the story of Sarah. She came to me and said, I would really love to chat with you. I need a career choreography. I'm just starting college, but I need to get a major. I need to figure out what courses to take. So I asked her to do a clarifying list. Tell me what you love. And also, you can tell me what you don't want.
Mhm.
And she put down her list. Well, first of all, I'm conflicted because I want to be the stay-at-home mom that my mom was for me and that her mom was for her.
Mhm.
But I also want a profession. I want to teach. But how can I be a stay-at-home mom and be a teacher 5 days a week, be the
Mhm.
stay-at-home mom I really aspire to be? And then she said, and I really love working with Down syndrome children.
Mm.
That's my calling. I love it. And she said, I'm a really good listener. I think I'm a really good problem solver. My friends come to me, ask me questions, and we work through things. And then she said, my hobbies, which are part of my DNA, I love playing the piano. I love playing the guitar. And she wrote all these things down. And I said, okay, let's look at our clarifying list together. What are the connections here? How do we make this work? Let's be really out of the box, constructive here. I said, you know what? I think I've got a great idea. What about this? What if instead of being a teacher where you have to work 5 days a week and you can't be the stay-at-home mom you want to be, there's a compromise here. What about being a special needs counselor
Mhm.
and working from home or an office close to home? So you can make the hours you want to make away from home and still be the stay-at-home mom, or at least the attentive mom
Mhm.
that you want to be. Then I said, and I love the idea of music therapy.
Mm.
I believe that your piano playing, your guitar playing, your singing, you can bring the joy of music to these children who you so want to work with. Bring them, draw them out, let them enjoy music. She now is finishing up college. She took her courses with the vision that she will be a special needs counselor or possibly even psychologist.
Yep.
And that way she can have her office in or close to her home and hit all of the criteria. She's so excited because she has a direction. And in life, it's so great to have a direction. A very good friend of mine, Don Brown, shared some criteria that I think they are incredible. 1, do what you believe in. 2, do what you love. 3, do what will excite you to go to work every day. And now I'm going to add the 4th. Do what you're good at, because not only will you be happy, but if you're doing what you're good at, you'll also be successful. And success makes us happy too. So those 4 criteria, I think, are so important for people to keep in mind as they're looking at the jobs that they would like to apply for, and ultimately the job that they take.
You share a lot of stories of your clients and their kind of chess moves and how you help them along the road. And so I think people will develop a very neat appreciation for this business and the contract cycles and what it's like having to navigate the television news industry. And you're also a tennis player and you have a lot of sports analogies and tennis analogies. So, there's stuff in there for the guys too. So I want to encourage my women to also share this with the men in their lives, especially men who are in the same situation and trying to repurpose themselves in the moment and maybe bring their passions to life. And, I've always thought we're not one size fits all. We're not meant to be just in one box. We've got a lot to contribute and a lot to do. And you saw my pivot. I'm still in television news, but now I've got this great YouTube channel and this outlet, which taps into another creative side to me. So that's my vision and expression too, is to let people know you're not one size fits all. And maybe down the road, you want to do something else and it's great. You should go for it.
Absolutely.
Well, Kenny, I think your advice is invaluable. I encourage everybody watching right now to pick up a copy of your book. I'm going to provide a link in the description portion of this video so it can easily be found. But for anybody who is either pivoting in their lives or needs to start over or is choosing to start over, this is such a wonderful, applicable guide. It is a step by step with so many great stories to back up each step. I think you're going to help so many people, Kenny. And I can't thank you enough for being here. And we always talk via phone call, so it's so good to see you.
And it's so great because we started together and we are flourishing together and we're continuing to grow together.
That's right. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to experience that and to see that in each other. And that is case in point of what you're talking about in the book, is the growth and the development along the way. And there are always new things that can be curated and developed and should be.
I agree. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be here.
Oh, thank you, Kenny. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Me too.
Bye.
Bye.